Hello, everybody, and welcome to our sixth iteration of the IFC podcast. Today, we are joined by two of our chapter presidents. If you guys would like to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, my name is Gavin Donchez. I am the president of Delta Tau Delta.
Cale Spies and Sigma Alpha Epsilon.
We have a bunch of cool questions today, a lot more fraternity-oriented questions, as opposed to some of our other episodes. So excited to have these two guys on to speak their mind on what it's like to be chapter president. For our first question, coming to here as Ole Miss as a freshman and going through full recruitment as a potential new member to where you guys are now. Tell me about this journey to where you were freshman year. For you, it was 2022. For you, 2021, and to where you are now. Kind of how you've grown as a fraternity man here at Ole Miss.
So I'm an out-of-stater. My only experience of fraternity was my brother, who went to a Midwestern school and didn't really know what to expect coming in, but I went through Rush back in 2022, and I got to say, one of the best choices I've ever made in my life was rushing a fraternity. So, yeah.
That's awesome, Gavin. Cale, what about you?
For me, I rushed all summer before I came here. I didn't really know I was going to get into fraternity life until probably June before my freshman year. But then since then, I came up every weekend, every couple of days, and spent time with all the different fraternities. And so kind of always had an idea where I wanted to go and where I'd fall in love with, but didn't know SAE was going to be the place until we got closer. But, it was the best time of my life. I never take 2021 Rush back. Coolest stories ever.
That's awesome. And I had the privilege of knowing Cale a little bit early on. I was recruited by SAE a little bit. I knew some of his Rush years more and got to know Cale more in my sophomore year as I began to take some IFC roles. So, Cale, thankful for our friendship and how we've grown over the past couple of years. Cale actually just ended his term as SAE's president after being there for 2 years, right?
2 years.
2 years. So Cale's been in the game for a while, and he was actually vice president before that. So he's really brought SAE to a great point now, and Gavin's taken board at Delt the same exact way. So some of you guys may know Lars was Delt's president last year. He really brought the ship to a really high ground, and now Gavin's just taken over, continuing the Delt rise, which is fantastic. I love to see it. They now have 4 members in columns, and they're representing all over campus. Jack Jones, the president of our ASB now, is actually Delt as well. Yep. So love to see the way these guys are growing, and same for SAE. 2 fantastic chapters that I couldn't speak more about. So very thankful for these guys. And let me talk about more about the inspiration between both of you guys and where you are now. What inspired you to become the president of your fraternity, and how did you prepare for such a leadership role?
Yeah, so I, going through recruitment or whatever, one of our first presidents, Jack Mansky, he was the main guy that kind of rushed me, walked me through it, what to expect, what not to expect, and I got pretty close to Jack Mansky throughout Rush, and then pledgeship started and whatnot, and I became really close with Lars Anderson and Jack Jones. It's kind of funny. They actually bonded over not liking me, but now we're all in the same friend group, so which is pretty funny, but Lars being a year older, being the president before me, I got to see firsthand experience what it's like, what to do, what you can't do. And I was the treasurer last year of our chapter. But yeah, we had a conversation about what we wanted to do next year. And Jack said he was done, wanted to pursue better things. And now obviously the ASB president. Mm-hmm. And then I went on to become the Delt president. So patience was key. And so we're here now. But
yeah, patience is a huge part of it. Watching people above you, seeing how they grow, and then taking that mentorship from them is huge. So glad you and Jack worked things out, and now are representing in 2 different branches. It's fantastic for you guys. And Cale, I know you started early, so your inspiration for leadership must have come maybe in high school or freshman year, because you were vice president early on. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, we came back on campus in 2021. My freshman year was our second year back on campus. Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of good groups of leaders. Our president, before me, was Cole Bean, and then there was John Ross, then Preston, and then me. And for me, it was those guys, right? Just trying to be more like them, take after their footsteps. Wanted to be that role model, right? And so looking after them, looking up to them, I wanted people to do the same thing with me and be an example for everybody. And, we pride ourselves in wanting to graduate, wanting to do well in school, but be more than that. SAE should be more than a 4-year thing, and that's what we take pride in. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Brotherhood lasts a long time, and that's the main point of our fraternities is to have these lifelong, lasting relationships. Some of you guys may not know Preston Noden. He was a fantastic guy. He's actually from Jackson, my hometown. I know he really brought SAE back to campus and got these new member classes high once again. And then Cale took that mentorship from him too, I'm sure. So,
Yeah, he was my rush chair when I was coming through.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be an SAE without him, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, high praise for Preston. He's a great guy, and Cale can attest for that for sure. Now we're going to talk about more of the challenging things about being a president. You can't always appease everybody and make everyone happy, and we've touched on this on the past in our podcast. So if you guys don't mind, just tell me the most difficult part about your leadership experience so far, and how have you overcome that challenge?
When I first started, I was our social chair. And so that's like the biggest yes job. You want to make everybody happy,
Right.
And you never say no, right? And so switching from that to vice president to president, I mean, it really goes without saying that, you go back to Preston, he always told me that a good leader isn't always able to say yes, right? And so that's probably one of the hardest things I ever had to learn was being able to say no to the people that I'm closest with, right? Somebody that didn't pay dues or didn't make grades or whatever else that could be my best friend, and making those hard decisions for the betterment of the fraternity.
That's awesome, Cale.
Yeah, so kind of a little background when I rushed. It was 2022, obviously, but we were small chapter. We rechartered back in 2023. So my entire fraternal experience has been a challenge. We started at 13 guys when I went through, and then we went to 40 in my class, and then we somehow pulled 80 guys 2 years ago, and then this past fall we pulled another 80 guys. So we're sitting just under about a 200 guys. So I mean, it's been a challenge my whole career, college career, but it's a love-hate relationship, you know what I mean? And we have a big conference that we go to every year for presidents of our national organization. And kind of the best advice that we got was it's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. You know what I mean? Just the sheer, it's a long year. And Cale can obviously attest to that one. Being president for 2 years, I can't even imagine. So it's the amount of time, you got to pace yourself. So, but I love it. I love it, definitely.
It's certainly a rewarding job, and we're all very thankful to be in this position. There's a lot of great things that come about it. So, and there's two things about these chapters that make them really special. So we did our chapter visits to all the fraternities this year. Something new we started, and two things that make these two chapters great, SAE and Delta Tau Delta, is the fact that nearly every single member in their chapter who's an active was at their chapter. And that is really what separates a good chapter from a bad chapter at times, because people willing to have that attendance for chapter where the important things are discussed without having to, really encourage them. Just guys wanting to show up in the first place is huge. And you see that, represented in their chapter well. So it's really great to see how these two chapters are rolling out under these guys' leadership. Now transitioning more into the school side, we go to Ole Miss here for a reason, to study, to get a degree. Obviously, a large part of that is the networking and the people you meet through a college experience. But tell me about how you balance the responsibilities of an academic life and also your personal life and commitments while being a chapter president, and how you've kind of managed that over the past couple of years.
I think the biggest way I'd say is to be blessed to be around the people that I have, right? A lot of people in my corner, and I try to always be in everybody else's corner. So being able to help anybody whenever they need it. But really, I mean, I've been blessed with the SAEs that I've had. We have countless other fraternity guys that work for us. But we have a whole staff of managers, and I'm sure Gavin does as well. And same thing with academics, right? Being able to pick up the workload when somebody else has something else going on. So really been blessed with the people that have been around me and been in my corner.
It's awesome to have a good management system where you can delegate more, and Cale's opened that out a lot. I'm sure he'll his academic side and work life side a ton. So awesome to hear, Cale. Gavin, how about you, man?
Yeah, I've definitely come to know Microsoft Outlook these past 2 semesters for scheduling. But yeah, same thing as Cale, man. You're only as good as your team, and I have a very, very solid team at Delt that does a really well job. My vice president, Drew Martin, one of the smartest guys I know. This board is incredible, and to see their growth and to see how much they care. I have guys that are really bought into the chapter, and that's something special. So
absolutely.
But yeah, just scheduling and trusting your team around you, man. I mean, you are only as strong as the team around you, and if you have a strong team around you, I promise you, there's nothing you can't do in this world.
Yeah, Gavin, what a fantastic point. And I'd like to take a moment right now to shout out our IFC executive team. We have 7 other members, each who do a fantastic job and have been essential to my success and the IFC success of a whole. All these guys who work behind the scenes and sometimes don't get the praise for their work, Alex Muller right here behind the camera. He's constantly doing photo shoots with presidents, with people who are in fraternities doing well on campus and putting in a ton of work with our podcast, setting all this up behind the scenes. So love all my guys. They do a fantastic job, and I couldn't be more thankful for how we're rolling this year and the people who step up when you ask them to. So that's how a team runs smoothly. You know, a well-oiled machine is how we roll. So I'm very thankful for these guys, and that's how our IFC has been in the past. I'm very thankful. Could you guys describe a moment or event during your presidency that you've been especially proud of, that's made you feel really happy with where you're at? Maybe a successful philanthropy or any successful bylaws that were passed or something?
I'll go out on a limb that, you know, when we first started at SAE, we did not have the best GPA, right? Yeah. And something we've really, really tried to harp on the last 2 years since I've been president was increasing our GPA. And we were blessed to have a guy named CJ Matthews this past year who just killed it, knocked it out of the water, but really raising that standard. Our GPA went up tremendously since last year to this year now, and it's only going to keep going up, and really just trying to set that standard that we want to be better than average. We don't want to just try to break the median, right? And so we want to set the standard for everybody else. I think that's probably one of the coolest things I've been able to see is our guys growing as individuals and growing morally, right, as well, that they want to be better than just graduating, right? They want to do C's, get degrees, but they want to be better, and that's really what we want to see. And so that's something that's really, really cool for us at SAE.
Awesome, Cale.
Yeah, we got two things. I'm pretty proud of our growth as a chapter as a whole. Like I said, a lot of our guys are bought in, and you know it's kind of hard to especially start a fraternity here at Ole Miss, and you know to see in the past 2-3 years, you know, go from 13 to almost 200 guys is something very special to look at. Another thing we're pretty proud of, we have a philanthropy event that we started. We're launching it in November. We're doing a big bourbon tasting that's open up to the entirety of Oxford. Some pretty prominent figures in the bourbon world is going to be there. A bunch of big distilleries, some pretty big political figures here in in Mississippi. It's going to be a pretty well put together event. It's going to be at the Lyric on November 20th. We haven't really advertised it yet, but we've been talking around town. We've already sold, you know, half our sponsorships. It's going to be called Bourbon and Bow Ties. It's going to be a black tie event, really nice. It'll be an auction. We're gonna raise some good money that's gonna go to a good cause. So we're super excited for that. It's gonna be an annual thing that we're gonna do. But yeah,
that's awesome, Gavin. I know y'all put a ton of work into that philanthropy event. I know you guys have high expectations to raise a lot of money. We've talked about that a little bit more on the side. So excited to see how that rolls out this fall. Now, you guys, we mentioned some roles that are essential or some qualities that are essential to be in this position, but could you guys name one or two essential qualities towards being a successful fraternity president here at Ole Miss? Kind of what it takes.
Go ahead, you got something?
I'm sure Cale can attest to this one, but I think work ethic is definitely your biggest attribute.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're basically a big manager for 200 guys. You know, you got guys under you. You got people you got to meet expectations for that are above you. You know, from your housing corporation, from your alumni. Mm-hmm. But definitely work ethic. You know, waking up and still appreciating what you're doing every single day. But definitely work ethic for me. So
I think it drives a little deeper than me, right? It's like when I was growing up, my dad always said, "You don't quit, right? You start something, you finish it, right?" And so definitely a lot of times in my presidency where it got hard, right? And especially in the second year, we get just first year is like, yeah, it was awesome, and you want to do it again, right? But a lot of presidents and execs, including people on our team, that they get past their first semester and they're thinking, "Oh, I'm almost done," right? And that's not what we want to feel. We want to go through the finish line, right?
Exactly.
We don't want to just jog through the finish line. We want to sprint through it, right? And I think that's probably the biggest challenge that you have to overcome an exec position in a fraternity. Is just like it gets tiring, and you got to be able to keep going. So. Because there's other people that look up to you. So.
That's it. And we mentioned this in various points, but a lot of people really want to be in these two guys' roles, in mine as well. Some people aspire as a fraternity man to be the president of their chapter or president of the IFC, whatever. So whenever times get stressful, and I know I was talking to Trey Bird, Kappa 6 president, about this last night, I just pray and remember how at this moment last year I was praying that I would be in this position. So how am I going to be stressed and upset when this is what I was hoping for in the past? So it's awesome to see how you grow in life and the positions you come to. So I love that. Now transitioning to more of a fun question. What are some of the most popular events that your fraternity organizes each year? And what impact do these have on members, the campus community, recruitment, et cetera? Maybe it's a social event or something. So,
Yeah, one thing that I look forward to, kind of on the philanthropy side, is we do a visit to the veterans home.
That's
and,
awesome.
My dad was in the Army. He served for 27 years, so I've kind of grown up around that life. And to talk to these older guys about their experiences, and to sit down, have lunch with them, or watch a movie is just something that's truly special. So I look forward to that we do that semesterly based, and we have a big group of guys that go, and it's just awesome to hear these guys' stories. It's always nice to sit down and talk to somebody who has a lot of stories. So, but yeah, definitely the veterans home visit is one that's on our top list. So
love that, Gavin.
Yeah, our biggest philanthropy event every year is the car wash. I mean, it's a fun event. It's probably not the most loved event on campus, but we have cars that go around campus that stretch. We start at the Tad Pad, and they stretch all the way past the Simonu House and the Kappa Sig House. It's a really cool event. We raise some pretty good money every year, and it's for the Mitch Pleather Youth Development Group the past 4 years, but we started when I was a freshman. So there's a lot of TikToks and a lot of videos, but it's probably one of the most looked forward to philanthropy events on campus for sure.
Yeah, guys, it's hilarious. SAE, like you said, they do a car wash every year. There's always videos on TikTok or whatnot of the cars lined up, or shirtless SAE guys doing a car wash. So you can imagine what it goes like, but it raises money for a good cause. So it's a fun, joking event that really does a good thing. So we love that the guys do that each year. It's pretty hilarious. So going on to some more personal insights. What has being a part of this fraternity taught you about friendship and personal growth as president?
I think the biggest thing is you're really going to find those 4 or 5 guys that you're closest with, right? And not being able to, what do you call it? Like when people get in cliques, right? And so I think you see that a lot, especially like these freshmen that come in and they join a fraternity, and they're all these new members, and they get in these cliques and 2, 3, 4 groups, and they don't really enjoy what it means to be an SAE, right? They enjoy what it means to be in a group of 2 or 3 kids, right? When you have 200 members that you want to get to know, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I found those 3 or 4 guys that I'm like closest with that'll be, in my wedding one day. And, but it's about the guys that I don't get to hang out with as much, right? And so the guys that I see closest with, that I look up to, right? And the older guys I wasn't as close with, right? But same thing with the younger guys now, and they might not be as close to me, but it was always somebody I could look up to, right? Whether they were in my clique or not, right? And we try to do our best not to do that at SAE, but in any fraternity, no matter how big it is, it gets that way. And so, especially at SAE, we try to make sure we don't take too many kids, right? We usually only take 55 to 65 kids every year, and it's on purpose, right? We could take countless more kids, but it's not who we want to be, right? And we want everybody to know everybody. Everybody in the fraternity should know everybody's name, and we pride ourselves in that.
Yeah, that brotherhood is special, and sometimes having that quality over quantity is really helpful towards having a close chapter. So respect the guys that talk for that at SAE. Gavin, a little bit more on your part about how you've grown through friendship and personal growth,
Yeah, I think brotherhood is thrown a lot around in a fraternity, and it's kind of a cliche thing to say, right? But I mean, there is so much truth behind it. We during our recruitment, we preach something that a good friend would always say is, life is definitely hard. There's going to be so many struggles, and the truth is you cannot go through this life alone.
Yeah,
you need brothers, you need guys that you're close to, you need these stepping stones to help you get across to the bridge, right? Whether it's school, whether it's personal life, whether it's later in life. And, a fraternity has taught me that there's always going to be somebody there for you. And, whether it's your close friends or people that you're not even close with, people mean good. And especially in your fraternity, sorry, it's just like, it means so much to me to have a group of guys that you can be so close with that want to see you do better in life, and you want to vice versa. You want to see them do great things too. So, but life is hard, man, and to have guys that care about you is truly something special. And you can't go through this world alone. So to have guys that truly care about you is something that's just awesome to me.
Yeah. And you will find people who have your back in Greek life, especially here at Ole Miss. There's people who will support you no matter what. It's truly something special. I think is really unique here at Ole Miss. Is the camaraderie is you can't match it here, and I love it to death. So glad you guys touched on that. little bit more of a funny question. What has been your favorite memory from your time as a fraternity, being in a fraternity? Maybe not as president, but maybe just as a whole. If you have one memorable event that you could say appropriately on the camera. I know there's many fun stories that go on.
I think one of the things that it's not really a fun memory, and I'll think of something in a second. But my biggest thing that it kind of goes back to the last question is how much Ole Miss has grown as a community since I was a freshman. When we were freshmen, I mean, like every fraternity just seemed like they did not get along, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like cross fraternities, we hated each other really. And now to this day, right? I'm a senior now, and I could say that I have a lot of guys in other fraternities that I'm really close with, and some guys that I'm closer with than some of the SAEs, right? And I think that's grown a lot in the 4 years I've been here. It's honestly one of the coolest memories I've had. It's just go looking back at it when I was a freshman, people trying to take people's pins or their flags on their house, or took something at the Grove from them or whatever else, and we've really grown as a community in 4 years, I think.
You love to see that. Now, I've noticed the same thing, even though I've only been here for 3 years. Yeah.
You said funniest memories?
Or favorite memory or funniest.
I'll probably avoid spring break memories. I have a few guys that are going to watch this, and they're going to thank me for that. But man, going back to the original thing I said earlier, my best friends in the entire world bonded over not liking me, and now those are the guys who are going to be up there, when I'm getting married, or going to be there when I have my first kid. And but it's just funny to see, college goes by so quick, but you just remember every little thing that happens, and to see those guys, bond over not liking me, but now we're just the bestest friends in the world. We go out all the time, and it's special. You know what I mean? It's something truly special. So
that's great. I love that you talked about that, Gavin. So what's next for you guys after presidency? How do you plan to stay involved in your fraternity or the broader Ole Miss community or your companies, or what's next for you guys after your terms are done? Cale, I know you're about to be graduating here.
Yeah, I graduate May 9th. I'll commission in the Army in May 10th. So I'm going guard, and I'll be stationed in Jackson. So I'll have my 1 week in a month and 2 weeks during the summer and whenever I get deployed. So, but that's a cool part of my life is I went to Ole Miss because ROTC really, in the long run, ROTC paid for my college, and I wouldn't be here without it. Really wouldn't be at Ole Miss. I'm an out-of-state kid just like Gavin. So I came from Louisiana and then Birmingham. So being able to come to a school like Ole Miss and really almost have it virtually free because of the United States military it's a blessing for me. But I want to stay in Oxford and keep running my two companies, and hopefully still being able to stay involved with SAE any way I can. And SAE's got a great alumni group and alumni advisors, and the outreach that SAE has nationally, and even just in Mississippi alone, just because of its alumni reach is incredible.
Isn't SAE the largest chapter in the nation?
It's got the most chapters. I don't think it has the most members anymore.
Okay.
I think that 2 years ago, I think Sim Mackay might have taken that one.
Yeah, I got you.
Most members. We had the most chapters in the country.
Cool.
So,
well, that's awesome to hear. I know SAE, Cale will stay strong in the SAE alumni relations, and as he continues to work on his stuff. And in Oxford, and Cale, once again, thank you for your service too and what you've done with RTC, and now that you'll be stationed in Jackson. So thank you, Cale, for that. Gavin, what about you, man? What do you plan to do? I know you've another year with me here at Ole Miss.
Yeah. We're both juniors. I still have a solid, 8 months left of my presidency. So I want to finish strong with that. Still looking forward to a lot of things come the fall semester, a lot of big events like we talked about. Want to get through school. I want to get my master's one day. I don't want to be done with my academia life yet, but definitely want to keep growing. All the companies that I started, I want to stay closer to Oxford best I can and stay involved in my chapter. I mean, if I can help out any way I can to those guys, then, they deserve it. They deserve it. So
that's awesome. So fantastic answers by both of you. We have 3 more closing questions before we wrap this thing up, guys. First or the third is, how do you personally define success for your chapter, and how do you plan to measure it by the end of your term? Yeah, I know this is a bit of a harder question to kill. Obviously, your term is done, but in the end of the day, what does success look like for your chapter, whether that is academics or recruitment size, et cetera, and how could you kind of tangibly measure that?
Recruitment and academics are two big things. First, academics, right? You set a goal for yourself, right? If we had a 295, we want to hit a 305 next year, right? Mm-hmm. And like this, a year ago, we were sitting at a 275 for 2 years in a row. And this past semester, we had a 297 or whatever it was, right? Awesome. So that's definitely something we were able to measure success in and something we were proud of. And then rush-wise, right, you got a group of guys that maybe you have so many legacies, which is somebody that's dad was a SAE once upon a time, and we want these 10 kids, right? How many of these 10 kids did we get? And those are two things we definitely measure. Like I said, we don't measure our chapter based off of how many kids we get in rush, right? We want to take the best kids and the most quality kids, and so if we got 30 kids next year because we only wanted those 30 kids, I mean, we'd be just as happy as if we got 65 kids that we wanted. And that's who we are. So it's hard to measure each other in rush, but our rush team is beyond no other.
You measure heavy on character.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I talked to, before taking my role in January, I talked to a high-up executive based out of Texas. How do you measure success, for a guy that's been in multiple industries, considered the textbook of success? And he looked at me and he said, Gavin, if you just come in and make the place better than when you started, to me, that's success.
Yeah. And,
as a newer chapter, building a fraternity, you always want the next guy after you to be better than yourself. So whoever takes over after me, I'm pushing that he does twice the amount of dollars that we raise in philanthropy, that he gets, 60 quality guys come, that next rush. And I think if you look at it from a third person perspective, if you come in and leave the place better than when you found it, to me, that's what measures success. And I'm so excited to see the growth of this chapter, to see where these guys come or where they end up going and everything that they end up doing in their life. Because I'm telling you, man, the fraternity experience is something special. You get to see guys around you grow to be better people. And to me, that means a lot. So, yeah, to me, that's what measures success.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel the same way about our IFC executive team. As long as we don't tear things up and we leave this a better place than it was last year, we're doing good things and we're creating new initiatives and we're making this place better for our students here at Ole Miss. So I love those answers, guys. How do you see yourself as a role or a mentor how do you see your role as a mentor for younger members of your fraternity? And what kind of legacy would you like to leave behind your fraternity? I guess, Cale, what have you left behind, and how do you see yourself as a mentor currently?
Yeah, so like I said, we're doing that big bourbon tasting for Oxford. That's definitely something that I want to be our legacy. I mean, raising a couple $100,000. I mean, that's just huge. I mean, we would be the largest philanthropy for our national organization. But as far as mentorship, man, I always like to preach the idea of listen to the freshmen. You know what I mean? Like they're young, they're the future of your chapter. Have lunch with them, talk to them. They look up to you more than you think they do, and if you give them the time of day, I promise you that to them that goes a long way. So I always like to look to the younger guys for ideas, for involvement, to make sure that they're enjoying their fraternal experience, because at the end of the day, I mean, that is the future of your chapter. So
yeah.
Always look at the younger guys, man. Always look at the littler guy, if that makes sense. So
yeah, I love that. And Cale, I'll interrupt, Cale, before you speak. I couldn't press enough on that point. I mean, you can be an older member in a fraternity and be less connected with the freshman, sophomore class, or you can be a upperclassman and connect with these people and make it known to them that you care to them. And I can't speak enough from a former freshman and knowing what it's like for freshmen. That means a ton if you're an older guy and you serve as a mentor and really care about these younger guys, because that's what makes a fraternity strong, is when you outreach and show that you have passion and you're not here just to be a higher figure, but you're here to connect and really care for these freshmen. So I love that, Gavin.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like a legacy, right? And
yeah.
Is it your 4-year legacy or is it the rest of your life, right? And 20 years from now, is Gavin going to be talked about at DTD for starting the bourbon tasting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what mentorship people look up to, is in 20 years from now when the chapter can look back and say there was a president once upon a time that did this, right? And I think that's one of the coolest things. Same for IFC, right? It's like maybe we look back and this podcast is massive 20 years from now, and they could look back and say he started that, right? And so that's always a cool thing to look back on and just be someone for them to look up to, right? So like you said with the younger guys, and it's the same thing when we were freshmen, right? We looked up to the president. Like they might not have thought it, but having lunch with that guy or whoever it is was the coolest thing back then. When I was a freshman, there was a guy named John Ross, and just going in there, getting to eat lunch with him. Now he's at law school at Ole Miss, and we still talk to this day. If you're still talking to the guys that are freshmen 2 years, or were freshmen when you were a senior 4 years down the road, like if I'm still talking to the guys that are going to be seniors in 4 years, I mean, that means you made a lasting impact, right?
It definitely does, yeah. And I know Cale's and pretty much Shielded will continue to make a huge impact in Oxford. So excited to see where that grows, and that foundation's been laid. Now it's just time to see the exponential growth and where it takes off to around the nation. So for our final question, what advice would you give to someone interested in running for president of their fraternity? I know there's guys currently right now. Richie Price just stepped in as SAE's president. There's someone who's looking to be in your shoes soon. So what advice would you give for someone who is looking to be in your role, knows it's going to be a big time commitment, but isn't sure of all the objectives left to complete or what it's really like to be in this role?
Yeah, I got two things. Definitely the first one that I like to preach the most is just be patient. You know, it's you're going to come in as a freshman. You know, you may have aspirations of being president one day, but you know you're not going to be president right when you're done with pledgeship, right? Mm-hmm. Just be patient. But second thing I like to preach, which you know I hope you know, especially in our chapter, that guys do a little bit different than I did, is come in humble, come in ready to learn, wanting to learn. You know, you don't know everything. You never do know everything. There's always going to be somebody better than you. There's always going to be somebody better than you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Come in humble, ready to learn. You know what I mean? Listen to the guys above you, and I promise you they'll listen to you. So definitely come in humble and just be a good person. You know, it's always not preached enough, I don't think either. It's just, you know, strive to be a good person. Did you make anybody smile today? Yeah. Did you leave a lasting impact is what we like to say to the guys around you. And, you know, that's another thing I like to preach. So
that's awesome.
I think my biggest thing is it's okay to say no, right? And I said that earlier today. It's like it's okay to say no for the betterment of the chapter, right? And there's 200 members, and it's not just you, right? And so, you know, whenever I finally told everybody that, you know, I finished on Monday, and when I said to everybody, I said, no matter what, I can look back and say I don't regret anything, right? And so I made every decision morally, and did everything for the best right of the chapter. And so 20 years from now, I'm not ever going to have a what if, right? That was my one goal when I left, is that no matter what I did, no matter, you know, how it affected us or what happened, I did everything with the right morals and upheld the SAE creed, right? So,
yeah,
gentlemen.
That's fantastic, guys. Well, couldn't thank you guys enough for your time. There was tons of great wisdom and advice spilled today, so I encourage everyone to really tune in and listen to this. These guys they've been in the system for a while and know what it's like to lead at a high level. So appreciate you guys leading at one of the largest Greek schools in the nation and what you've done. I know your alumni advisors and everyone appreciate it a ton. And be on the lookout for our next coming episodes in this podcast. We have a big athlete name coming up soon. I'm sure many of you guys know, as well as a professor who started the company Gentile, who teaches genetics here. So we'll be looking into that soon. And thank you guys for your time. Have a good Easter.